Welcome to Talking Out Cloud, the podcast where we discuss the latest developments in IT and cloud. And in today's episode, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to talk about value as a managed service provider, as a consultant. How do you add value to your customers? And what is value? And with that, let's talk. Gert-Jan, good morning.
Good morning, Wesley.
Thank you for joining once again.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, once again. Yeah.
This is a topic where you and I, when we sit in a car, we can argue about this and discuss this for a long time, because it's also when you see things happening at work, at customers, or in the community in general.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing it? Why does it add value? Why does it add? What is value?
What is value?
What is value?
What is value? Is value for us, for the customer? I think that's a really good question you ask.
Value for me is at the end of the month I get my paycheck. That's value.
That's value for us. I think value for me is also, and also maybe it's delivering quality. Maybe.
I think it's. I made the joke about paycheck, but
I
know. For me, it's value.
It's exactly.
Value to me in work is that I get to do cool things and that it's worthwhile doing it. But for a customer, so as a company, as Intercept, as a managed service provider, or any other company, a managed service provider, is you exist because your customer perceives something as value.
Yeah.
So what you provide is valuable in the eyes of the customer.
Yeah.
So, but then what do you do as a managed service provider? Is it, here's 5 kilos of Azure, good luck. That's not value. That's like selling hardware.
Definitely. I think if I look at our customer, new customer, of existing customers, I think the value for them is that we carry the burden of maintaining their environment. Mm-hmm. And we do that with low cost, maybe with quality, the best quality, not maybe, but the best quality. Mm-hmm. And doing it that they don't know that their environment is running. Do you know what I mean? So that they know
it's commodity.
It's commodity. Yeah.
I agree. They should not worry about it.
That's the word I was looking for.
But then it's so I think for a lot of customers that's the answer, right? I don't want to worry about the platform. We have customers that have no idea what's running in Azure. No. They know what it costs. They know it's efficient.
Yep.
They know they can deploy their solution to it.
Yep.
But we also have customers who are interested in, so how can I optimize my solution to better use that public cloud, to better use Microsoft Azure? So how can I write my application or my code so that I'm benefiting from all that Azure has to offer? Yeah. And then we have to recommend what that is.
Based on the experience we have, I guess.
And I think that brings us to one of our unique selling points, which is knowledge.
Yeah. Knowledge how the platform is working, but also how you can migrate your software to the Azure cloud, because we have the knowledge about that. We did it before,
and we maintain the knowledge.
And we maintain the knowledge. That's definitely.
So we are a managed service provider with a lot of technical people. Let's say you are a software company. You are with 50 people. Mm-hmm. 30 of them are developers. Then you've got HR, you've got sales, you've got board of directors, and so you fill that up with overhead. So those 30 developers and maybe 1 or 2 ops people, the developers write the code, the business logic. They work on the product backlog. They write the features that your customers request. And then you got 1 or 2 people managing a cloud platform. And then you look at Azure or AWS or Google. It's insanely complex.
It's complex.
Hundreds of different building blocks.
Yeah.
How do you, as 1 or 2 people, ensure that you can? This is the last episode of this season.
Yeah.
And we talked about FinOps, sustainability, IaaS versus PaaS. We talked about governance. We talked about all of that. How can you do all of that with 1, 2, or 3 people?
I think that's difficult. So I think we as a company can add value to all of those aspects to the customer. So we can give suggestions how to do FinOps better. We can give suggestions how to run your workload better. All those different things. I think we are capable and to do that and give a value to the business of our customers.
And I think that's where another part of the value comes from, because exactly that. Let's say those 1 or 2 or 3 ops engineers or DevOps engineers at the customer, they have access to the public cloud. They focus on deploying the code. So that's one part of their job. And then they need to focus on all the questions coming in. So I think the majority of their work is break-fix stuff.
Yeah.
It's they are putting out fire to fire to fire.
Yes. They only want to create their own product and give the responsibility of maintaining the product in the Azure cloud, to give the responsibility to us, I guess. And we can certainly do that. So we can give advice, okay, this is the best way to run your SQL database. This is the best way to containerize your environment. So I think they can trust on our knowledge for that one.
Yeah, so as an MSP, you don't just do break fix, you take that step back.
Yeah.
And like, all right, so let's think about why we're doing things.
Exactly.
So an MSP, so adding value is not just providing tech support.
No.
It's like strategic enablement. Like how do you benefit from that cloud? And which to me always comes down to knowledge. It's knowledge.
Exactly.
And then it's the product mindset, right? It's this is something that annoys me a lot when I see conversations regarding services provided. Are we having the product? So we work with software companies.
Yeah.
And those software companies, they build a product, and that product is then sold to their end customers. And I did a session on this a long time ago. So somewhere, I think it was 1985, you had, which is a marketing concept, you had the value chain of Porter's value chain, which states, so you have a product, and then to build that product, you have some primary service and some secondary services or overhead like HR, etc. But they're all part of the value chain. And then what a lot of MSPs do is they position themselves as we are a provider of services. So they position themselves outside of that value chain. And I think if you want to do that strategic enablement, and if you want to add value, you want to be part of that value chain. So you want to think about what we do, how does that benefit their end customer? So together with that ISV or software company, we work on the product, and our work is then maybe the platform, and they do the code and the application, but we're all working on the same product towards the same goal.
It's just almost that we are almost instead of customers, maybe just colleagues, maybe to cooperate at the same product, like you said, and also not to say always yes to questions, but also say no. We have a better solution.
I think you're saying no. I think for technical people like us, saying no is difficult. But that with this product mindset, where we think about we are part of that value chain, then you have a different conversation. If it's just and I really hate the concept of supplier and customer. If I just act as a supplier and I go to the customer, I expect you to deliver me this so I can deliver that. That's when you get a supplier-customer relationship. Yeah. That is where you don't want to say no, because if you say no, you're not selling anything.
Exactly.
If you are part of the value chain and you work on the same product, and I can hear my voice racing because I can see this, I see this going wrong so often. So it is like I want to preach this to everyone. Like, this is how you add value. Yeah. If I'm part of that value chain and we're working on the same product, and I'm working with a developer who's writing code and is asking me, hey, we're using AKS and I want to store some secrets. I'm like, oh, so if you rewrite your code, we can do it in Key Vault. And they go, yeah, but I want to do X, Y, Z. And then I can say, no, that's not a good idea.
Exactly.
But I'm only saying, no, that's not a good idea because I have an alternative. I understand the product and we're working towards the same goal.
You know the chain.
And we're feeling that. So that's what I think. That's how you add value. And that's not 5 kilos of Azure and 3 kilos of AWS and here's an SLA. That's not value.
No, I think during the process, when you say, yes, I will do it, even if you don't know that it's not the best way to do it, at the end, the customer will not be satisfied with the end result. Mm-hmm. And then you're not putting in a value for the customer. So do that in the beginning. And I think it's a knowledge area, definitely.
Yeah. So I think, and that the part is that I think that's the majority. I think that also builds the trust relationship. Yeah. And then we also tick some compliance boxes, right? Because if you do it through our managed services, and then you have ISO 27001, for example, we are a supplier through that concept. Yeah. And then so we do your IT service management, and then we have the tickets, we have that platform, we secure that. They can tick all those boxes. That helps as well.
It helps as well. We are also certified in some Microsoft. So the customer knows that we have the skills in-house to help them.
Yeah. And then, you know, as an MSP, you want your recurring revenue. So you don't just want to sell projects, because projects are really, supplier customer. Hey, we build something for you, we deliver it. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Here's 5 kilos of project. But in a recurring situation with contracts where, you know, we work much closer with customers, it also becomes easier to provide those services and to add value, because we're not bound to, we sold you 10 hours, so we do 10 hours. No, we have a contract, and you can expect from us that we do sessions and we look at your consumption and how to optimize it.
Definitely.
That's value.
That's value.
And it's something that a lot of companies still need to work on. So
it's a field where you need to you need to think carefully. How do you want to have value at the end, not at the beginning, I guess. So the value is when the customer, and I also find it satisfying when the customers come back, when you do a project or a recurring thing, the customers come back with to ask for another project or something like that. So you also know then that you have put it a value for them, I guess.
And that's that's the customer experience as well. And I think projects, you will always have projects, right? Because it's very hard to go to a customer and go, you need our managed services. And then they go, why? I don't know why. I don't know you. Yeah. Do I trust you? Do I perceive value from you? That's very. But with a project,
you will get that.
You will get. I think I did an analogy the other day, and it was like, so if I do a project first, so if I let's say I just do, I go to a customer, I'm going to provide you managed services. So what do I get? Well, I will mow your lawn, and I will, keep track of it, and I will give you a report on how short your grass is, and how often do we need to, mow the lawn, etc. It's like, well, I don't know if that's value. But if I do a project, and every morning the customer wakes up and they've got this big mansion, and they open the windows and the sun is shining, and they go, what a beautiful day. What these guys provided me, what the Intercept provided me, that gives me such a good feeling. I want that every day. Yeah. That's how you do a project. Yeah. And then you go, well, please sign here, because you can get this every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a good example.
So it's like we always talk about the warm bath, but I think the other value, and that's also the challenge as an MSP that we perceive as well, the knowledge fact. Like, we have the knowledge, but keeping track of it, that costs a lot of time.
Yeah. Especially in the time we are living, I guess, with all the new new features and new resources coming up. So yeah. I think if I was a customer or I was a developer or something like that, I only have knowledge about the product I'm creating. So as an MSP, as a consultant, I always it's my primary. I think it's my primary objective to keep in track of all the new technology. So if a customer comes to me, I don't know everything, but I can read myself in and stay up to date, I guess. So that you need to stay up to date.
Yeah, and it's okay to say I don't know yet. Call me tomorrow. I figured it out.
That is so true.
I think a big skill is reading the documentation and understanding the documentation.
Interpret, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it's I always like to say, so if you work in this business, I think one of your primary skills should be comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that should be your main skill. I mean, all these building blocks is very hard to keep track of, and sometimes you just need to be comfortable saying yes, checking the documentation, and go with it.
Exactly.
And it's I think that's the other part of being a challenge as an MSP is we want to do all the cool stuff, but then we need to structure it, and we need to be more efficient. And then do you do trainings, or do you hire people for skills? I'm a firm believer in training people.
Training people, definitely.
Because if you have a good culture, people will stick around, and then you invest in them and train in them, which builds the culture, which makes them stick around for longer, which means you get better engagement with customers. Because I mean that that culture and that knowledge and people staying longer and not job hopping, that rubs off on customers as well. That builds trust.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, having a different engineer and a customer every other week, you don't want that.
No, I think customers always wanting to have some, know who to talk to with, and it definitely helps to have the main a main person in the project or in your as a first contact person, I guess.
I think another way to add value is understanding the customer's business.
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you do that normally?
I think that's experience.
Yeah.
I think so. We work with software companies.
Yeah.
And we just did an episode on SaaS, ESPaaS, which provide SaaS products to this. So they have a subscription model, and this is more from. And this is why I'm very happy. When I did my bachelor degree, I did business, IT, and management, and the management part, business economics, marketing, etc. Those things still hold. Where the tech stuff, I mean, that's old now, but these concepts still hold. So let's say I'm a software company and I have an SLA with Intercept or a managed service provider.
Yeah.
And that SLA states, so we have response times for certain tickets, blah, 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 which traditional ITSM, ETL, which works, but then we categorize it. And then if it's, let's say the impact is X and then blah, blah, that means it's a P3, so I can take 2 weeks to work on it. That's how we used to do it in the past, right? Yeah. This was a big internal discussion we had.
Yeah.
Then I'm a software, because we transitioned to software companies somewhere halfway the existence of Intercept.
Yeah.
So I've got that SLA, response time 2 weeks or work on it, blah, blah. Then I'm a software company and I have a business model where I sell subscriptions to customers. So use my product, you pay me every month.
Yeah.
So when someone from sales signs up a new end customer, the customer will start paying when they can use it.
Yeah.
So in this example, a customer needs a new Azure subscription. They are in CSP. So they need the CSP provider to create that subscription.
Yeah.
And when that subscription is created, they can onboard that new customer and the customer can start consuming the product.
Yes.
So that's when the customer starts paying.
Yeah.
But then I create a ticket with my managed service provider who needs to create a subscription. And that SLA says, all right, so impact 1 user.
Yeah.
Okay, P3, response time 2 weeks. Essentially what's happening here, you're blocking the sales and onboarding process for a customer by 2 weeks, where it is the click of a button. And that is customer understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so new subscription means you're going to consume more because you need it, but you sold something.
Yeah.
And for us, it means, hey, the sooner we create it, the sooner they will consume more. So it's more money for the MSP as well.
Yeah.
But the traditional systems are not built for that. Because it's a P3, and then the engineer will go, oh, that's a P3.
Yeah.
That's when there was a point where we did this like years ago, and that's when I just wanted to start banging heads on desks and stuff like, come on.
It is not from this time anymore, I guess.
But when you say, so what does it mean to understand a software company? It's not just they build software.
No.
It's how does that business work? How do they sell stuff? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's like we said in the beginning, you need to be part of the change. So you need to understand the customer process. And that also means that you not always talk about the end project, but also means that you talk about them. Hey, how do you do your day-by-day business? How do you do that sort of question? So you know, and maybe it also means that you maybe walk a day with somebody when they develop something to just see the exactly the thing they want to create, so you get a better understanding of how much the impact will be when a process somewhere there will is slowing down the actual project. So yeah, definitely.
I think the sessions I've had at customer sites where we didn't even create or build stuff, we just sat there for a day brainstorming, we went for lunch, like, hey, what does the future? So some customers, and I cannot emphasize how much I appreciate that. When a customer goes, all right, so we are working on the next version of our product. So we're going to write down the future of our product, and we're going to brainstorm on what we're going to provide. That means it has impact on infrastructure and on the services you provide. Can you join us for that day where we just brainstorm with the teams on where we're going as a company?
Yeah, that's valuable. Yeah.
The best value
definitely
ever. Because all the all the communication afterwards, when they go, I want to use a key vault.
Yeah.
And then I go, no, we're going this way with the product. So the key vault is probably not the best solution. I'm just using key vault as an example. But
but that's, I know where you get from. Yeah,
and that's not supplier customer. That's partnership. That's being part of the company. And that's the value. That's what a lot of companies should do more and invest in more.
Give some more time at the preparation phase, I guess, and also there's also something. What we need to do is just ask questions to the customer. What is your day-to-day job? How can I help you with that?
And when a question comes in, maybe just pick up the phone and ask. So, what's the problem?
Yeah,
pick up the phone. I mean,
it's just then it's just communication, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but if you take a step back and you go back into that supplier customer or vendor and vendor relationship, the communication changes because it's like create a ticket.
Yeah.
And someone will triage the ticket and we will take a look at the ticket.
Yeah.
And I know it's difficult also for us that if every customer opens up a Teams chat and starts asking us questions,
it will also
difficult. There needs to be a mutual understanding, like, hey, if it's high priority and there's a problem now because your end customer has a problem where there's downtime,
exactly.
or you think there's going to be downtime, or maybe I'm also open to stuff like this. You promised as a software company, you promised your end customer, oh, we do it by Friday. But you forgot to include us. I'm still willing to move.
Yeah.
Send a Teams message, pick up the phone. Let's do that. If it's break, fix, commodity stuff, create a ticket. There needs to be a
healthy balance.
Yeah, but never do everything A or everything B. Go for the middle and build that mutual understanding.
Yeah, be flexible.
Yeah, and that's why I liked how we started working in a DevOps motion. Like we started working in sprints.
Yeah.
That made it also easier to say no to customers because software companies work like that as well.
Yep.
Agile, DevOps, etc. So if we tell them, no, we don't have time for that, the sprint is full, they go, oh yeah, we have that too. No problem. Let's do it next sprint.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that you cannot do that work in the other sprint, but you can also put in the work after the current sprint, refine the subject, because else you also don't finish the current sprint items, I guess. So
yeah. And the customer understands that because they work the same way.
That's the beauty of working with software companies, I guess, because they work the same way.
I'd agree. And whatever I'm doing in my career next, it will probably always be related when it's in IT to software companies, because that's I know you can, if you build that relationship correctly and you add value and they perceive it as value, they will give something back.
Yeah.
I mean, I also had conversation with customers. All right, so we've been working like this for a long time. I see you're doing it as well. Can we give you some tips and tricks on how so they want us to be better as well.
Yeah,
and definitely. That's very, very good. And I hope we're going to get a lot more customers.
Yes.
To move that way. And I think that we do see that changing. We do see even, and now we call it software companies, but there's also companies that are not necessarily building software, but doing like a best of breed kind of thing. Like they purchase different software solutions and build that into a product. They're starting to work the same way. We're all moving into that agile motion.
Luckily, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But that is, for me, that's adding value.
Yeah.
So, and I think it should, if you're not doing this, I think at some point you will no longer be relevant as a managed service provider.
That's and especially in working in a public cloud.
Exactly,
because the extra it's the value that keeps you the customer, I guess.
To give an example with the AI boom or the big growth in AI, let's say that I, as an MSP, thinks that I provide backup monitoring, that is adding value. Now that's ticking a box in a document of a security officer or compliance officer. We monitor your backup and we tell you that it failed.
Yeah.
What I want, what I'll get in the future is the customer will go, I don't need that from you because I can go to the Azure portal and I've got Copilot for Azure.
Yes.
And it'll go, your backup failed and click here and it fixes it for you, especially with all the new agents coming, that's not value.
No. No.
Value is product mindset, working on the same product, understanding the customer.
Yeah. And there's always a human factor needed for that.
Exactly. No AI is going to fix that. Any of that. All right. And that was a lot of mentioning of value.
Value. Yeah.
Value. It's it's about being a trusted advisor, not a vendor. That's I think that's the closing word. And with that, we're at the end of the episode, but also the end of a season.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a different season because the previous one we did like with 3 people, and then we had Denis here who did very well, by the way.
Definitely.
But then we also know it's like, hey, we just keep on chatting, and that works really well. So we thought, let's try it differently this time.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll invite some guests in future episodes as well, because there will definitely be a 3rd season.
Yes, definitely. Will be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually. This was great
I really
fun.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
So everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Gert-Jan, thank you for joining me. And
thank you, Wesley.
On to the next season.
Yes.
Nice, dankjewel. Mooi.